You can hear the feedback starting. So. I'm just going with this, John.
What's your internal mic?
We're going with that.
Doesn't give you any.
No.
Doesn't give you much anything, does it?
No.
That would probably wig you up.
This will work.
It'll work. Yeah. Check.
It'll work.
It should work. It's gonna be a little bit low probably, but it'll still be better than nothing.
Better
than the squeal.
Yeah.
Back here.
call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Here. We stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Before we get started, this evening we were in executive session from 6 o'clock to approximately 7:15 on personnel and safety and security issues. And for those of you who weren't here on Monday night, on 3/2/21, we were in executive session on personnel. That was approximately 2 hours. On 3/4/21, we were in executive session on personnel for 1 hour. And Monday evening, prior to the work session, which was 3/22/21, we were in executive session from 6 to 8:30 on personnel and litigation. With that, we'll move into, do I have a motion for the minutes of the previous meeting, February 22nd and 24th, 2021? Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion for the treasurer's report? Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion for the payment of general and federal fund bills. Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval for, or I'm sorry, I have a motion for the payment of the federal or the cafeteria fund bills. Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Moving to public comment, just some information. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When you get to the 30-second mark, I'll ask you to please conclude your remarks. Please be respectful of everybody in the audience, and we also cannot talk about personnel issues in public. With that, Mr. McLucky, your topic is superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Maddock, and thank you, members of the board. I come here tonight just to express some words of support towards our current superintendent, Mr. Bradley. Before I do so, I just want to say that I'm not here to in any way be critical of the school board. I understand the difficult times that the school district is in, like every other school district, and I also recognize how hard this is on everybody. But I also want to mention that reading the paper this morning, I was a little taken back when I came across comments by Mr. McCoy of the association. His comments took me back a little bit. I recognize Jamie and some of he says that he means it, and I respect that. I can only speak regarding Mr. Bradley based on my experiences myself with him. Had the opportunity to coach junior high sports in recent years. I'm a member of the Falcon Foundation, and in both situations I had contact with Mr. Bradley, and I was just very, very appreciative of the interest he showed in coaching the football. He would, I remember the first time I met him, Mr. McDonald brought him around to introduce him to me, and I wouldn't even bring that up, except it wasn't the last time he stopped by just to say hello to us, check on how we were doing, showing an interest in our sport. Also, a member of the Falcon Foundation. We try to support the district as best we can with the financial means that are made available to us. We've worked directly with Mr. Bradley. He's always been very, very helpful and also very appreciative of the help we've been able to provide. And I just like to make another comment, something that caught my eye. Last month, the basketball season came to an end, the senior night. It was a Friday night, not particularly good weather. I was surprised to see Mr. Bradley had stayed in town to attend that game. Wanted to shake hands with the seniors, greet the parents. I thought that was really a special effort on his part. He couldn't be heading home to where he lives and be with his family. Bottom line, I would just hope that the school board and perhaps members of the association, Jamie himself perhaps, sit down and whatever the circumstances are that are upsetting, those could be discussed and improvements could be made. I'd just like to very briefly, yesterday we kind of did a tracing of the history of superintendents of the Collins Area School District. It's kind of interesting. 1966 to 2001, 55 years of the school district. From 1966 to 2009, we had 4 superintendents. Clifford Pritch for 20 years, Dr. Phillips for just a couple of years, Jerry Brown for roughly 16 or 17 years, and then Jim Duncan, as he was rounding out his very distinguished career, spent 4 years. From 1966 to 2009, 43 years, we had 4 superintendents. Averages about 11 years a superintendent. Since that time, and Dr. Stern's here with me, if you ever say something wrong, please correct me. From 2009 to 2021, 12 years, we've had 8 superintendents, counting Tammy twice. Dr. Good was hired after Mr. Duncan retired in 2009. After 2 years, he left the district to move to the eastern part of the state. Dr. Stern then served as then. Then Mr. Lugetti was hired. Didn't stay very long, but again, Tammy was called upon to serve. Not at that time. Okay, then would have been Kevin O'Donnell came in. He had been up at the Career Center. He came down as superintendent. It didn't last very long. Tammy served for a second stint. Okay, then it was Mr. Martell. After Mr. Martell resigned, then Mr. McDonald took over. I don't know that he was completely certified, but he served, did a pretty good job, and then Mr. Bradley retired. And so,
Mr.
in all,
can you wrap it up, please?
I will wrap it up.
Okay, thank you.
In the last 12 years, we've had 8 different people, count Tammy twice, in about a year and a half. And the only point that I'd like to make, in addition to just supporting Mr. Bradley, is to say it's hard to move forward when continuity and stability is affected by just constant change in your leadership. And I thank you for hearing me out on this. And I'd just like to say to Mr. Bradley, personally in public, I thank him for the kindness and respect that he's shown to me personally, and I'm hoping for a positive outcome here. But whatever happens, I wish you and your family the best.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to departments, athletics, please.
Volunteer coaches, request approval of the following volunteer coaches for the 2021 spring season. Richmond Board varsity baseball, Petco varsity baseball, Aaron Peter middle school softball. I second.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Supplemental. Request approval of the following supplemental contract for 2021 school year contingent upon receipt of signed contract no later than 1 month after issuance, including posting of the position and receipt is not met. First assistant varsity track coach Eric Cena. Assembly.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Fall supplementals. Request approval of the following 21-22 fall supplemental contracts contingent upon receipt of a signed contract no later than 1 month after issuance, including the posting of the contingency is not met. I say.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Mr. Dramatic. Mr. Montio? Mr. Lake? Mr. Evans? That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Monjo.
Thank you. Item A, request the approval to hire Crabtree Bravo and Associates as the school district architect for the Dunbar Township Elementary School roof replacement at an approximate fee of $28,500 for the design, bidding, and construction administration, which will include reimbursement. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item B, request the approval to hire Brent Witt as a 4-hour custodian effective March 26, 2021, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item C, request the approval to purchase a fence from All Around Fence Company Incorporated at an approximate cost of $5,850 for the senior high school softball field as budgeted, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item D, request the approval to enter into a co-op agreement with the City of Connesville and Connesville Township for a paving project on Falcon Drive and the middle school at an approximate cost of $230,000 and not to exceed $250,000 to be paid by the Capital Reserve Fund. And I so move.
Motion second, I have a question. Why does that say paving project on Falcon Drive? But the school district is not paying for the paving on Falcon Drive. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure we're not paving down past the tennis courts. The school district isn't. Where the island is. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Request the approval to enter into a cooperative agreement with the City of Connesville and Connesville Township for a paving project at the administration building located at 732 Rockwood Road at an approximate cost of $50,000, not to exceed $100,000, and to be paid by Capital Reserve Fund. This request will be included in the bid specs as an alternate to the middle school paving project. And I so move.
Motion and second. Another question. Should have asked it on the first one. We're going to be presented with the bids to approve, correct? For both projects. So our board will individually approve these projects for our schools, correct? When the bids come in. Okay. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item F, request approval of the following events and building use requests, subject to adherence of the district's health and safety plan and all applicable state and federal laws and orders, including any mandatory or recommended cancellation, rescheduling, or postponement, and on the condition that requesters provide an event use form, specific health and safety plan acceptable to the district. Any rescheduling or postponement shall be the sole discretion of the district and under such terms and conditions as may be set forth by the district. There are 6 items. Connersville Wrestling and Cal Rock Wrestling Club is requested to use the senior high school gymnasium balcony and wrestling room April 14th through November 14th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Item 2, Connersville Girls Softball League is requesting to use the West Crawford Elementary softball field for practice April 1st through July 31st, 2021. And the times are between 5 and 8:30 p.m. as scheduled. Item 3, Connersville Senior and Junior Legion Baseball is requested to use the senior high school baseball field May of 2021 through July of 2021 as scheduled. Item 4, Connersville Little League is requested to use the Denver Township Elementary School and Middle School field for baseball practice March the 4th through July 1st, 2021, between 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. as scheduled. Item 5, Junior ROTC is requesting to use the senior high school cafeteria for the military bowl on April 30th, 2021. And item 6, Private Industry Council of Westport and Fayette is requesting to use the West Crawford Elementary School and the Bullskin Township Elementary School for extension of the 21st Century Program. The dates June 15th through 18th, June 21st, June 22nd through 25th, June 29th, June 30th, and the times are 7:45 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item G, request the approval of the additional COVID PPE supplies. And that is 2 electrostatic sprayers, cost of $3,996 for both. And I so move.
That question? Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item H, request approval to purchase an X-Mark zero-turn laser tractor from Real Hard Hardware at a cost of $8,799.99 as budgeted. And I so move.
Motion second. I'm sorry, question? Yes.
President, what I'd like to take this back to the committee because we're going to spend this kind of money for one vehicle. It's only going to be used for cutting grass, and most of our vehicles we're using, also we're using snow. So maybe we ought to look at this again and try to get the vehicle we really need and do both. Not us getting into some problem of having one just for grass and put it away and then get out and have to purchase another one for snow. So that's just my feeling, Martha. We take it back 1st of April here and look at it again, bring it back next month. I'm not saying we don't need one, but I think we need to look at this a little bit
Question, do we have, equipment that already does the snow?
Any other questions?
I can understand and appreciate the savings in that number of hours. But what I'm asking now is it going to be moving forward, the intent to have single-use mowers for grass and for other snow removal and other things? If so, are we going to be looking at a zero turns so that we have them available in all the buildings or all the buildings that cut grass?
So we have a motion that, yes, you have a motion and a second. Mr. Martrey asked to basically table, but I believe we have to vote on this one first. Is that correct, Solicitor? So all in favor? Opposed? Roll call, please.
No.
But motion failed. Yes. Sorry. Well, it's, we had to vote on it. There's really no need to table it. It'll go back to committee and bring it back. And we, correct, Solicitor, bring it back for another vote. The question, since we're still on this, the question I had, I remember we bought, I think, one for this high school. It was $25,000. Is that correct? You said it was 100. What? The mower was 104. How wide is this one? 60 inches. I just wondered why there was such a discrepancy in the price. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, we'll take this back to committee and look at it and make sure, look over the specifications, to make sure what we're getting into with this kind of money. Do we want to go with something a little bit heavier duty, and then we can discuss it and bring it back next month.
Okay. Well, don't lose them. I guess you got a couple more, Mr. Bonjo.
Yes. Item I, request the approval of the memorandum of understanding between the district and the custodial maintenance education support professional for bleachers and concrete pad as proposed.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Point of order, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the custodial maintenance and education support professionals for considering this, because it's hands-on education for our students, and in this COVID year, those opportunities have been very few and far between, and those opportunities haven't been as robust that they had in past years. So any opportunity for our students to get hands-on experiences, we appreciate, and through that generosity, we're able to perhaps have some more of those experiences for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item J, request the approval to add Beth Ann Beatty to the substitute custodian list for the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item K is just notice that the committee meeting was held on March the 18th, 2021. Mr. Sampson, do you have any? Mr. Pantella, do you have any?
Thank you.
Mr. Trey, do you have any?
Mr. Montreal, you have anything? Moving to Carnegie Free Library, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. I have nothing, Mr. Lake. Mr. Mantel. We have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Callsbury Career and Technical Center, Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. Request approval of the articulation agreement between the Pittsburgh Technical College and the Causeway Area Career and Technical Center effective March the 25th, 2021, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval for the grant agreement between the Workforce Investment Board and the Causeway Area Career and Technical Center for the 2021 EMT Academic Training Camp. Academy of Training Camp, I'm sorry, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval to accept the donation of a self-contained ice machine and refrigerated beverage machine for the HVAC program at an estimated value of $300 from Dennis Refrigeration to be used for instructional purposes. And I'll read them both together because they're both donations. Request approval to accept the donations of 6 HVAC compressors from Eastern Refrigeration supplied from the HVAC program at an estimated value of $1,529 to be used for instructional purposes, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Martucci, you have anything to add? Mr. Mongel?
Nothing.
Mr. James? That's all we have, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Curriculum, Mr. Ronaldo, please.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Request approval for the affiliation agreement between Duquesne University of School of Education, and the Local Education Association, ELAs, for March 1, 2021 through March 1, 2026, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We had a curriculum meeting that was held on March 16th at 6 p.m. Mr. Montreal, anything further? Mrs. Saxon, anything further? Dr. Kim? That's all we have.
Thank you. Moving to cyber.
I'd like to thank everybody that's involved. Dr. Stern setting everything up. Mr. Ghost gave a good presentation to everyone. Seems like they know what's going on. I appreciate everybody that's involved. We have a good group, diverse, and hopefully we can keep it moving. That's all I have. That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shreve, did you have anything? I'll see you there. Thank you. Moving to federal programs.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. We have no agenda items at this time. We had a committee meeting held on March 16th at 6:30 p.m. Mrs. Saxon, do you have anything to add? Mr. Martray? Dr. Coombs? That's
That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance?
Thank you. Item A is a request for approval of the budget transfers, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item B, request the approval to reimburse GRH Catering Company $14,641.21 for the 2020-21 school taxes, which exceeded the tax owed on the agreed assessed value. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? I abstain.
Item C, request the approval of the health insurance rate increases through the Allegheny County Schools Health Insurance Consortium, effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, for the following plans. Community Blue Flex PPO is 5%. Community Flex EPO is 5%. Standard Dental is no increase. Davis Vision is 7%. Vision Benefits of America, 7%. There's a note that the increases are due to two reasons. There was a 36-month trend of 3% for annual cost, and rates were also developed with the COVID-19 impacts. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Ronaldo, do you have anything? Mr. Mantel.
Just one thing, I hope, I know we approved some paving, I hope we start using this money that, a couple of years ago, I saw that we were spending too much on our bond refinancing, and got our money back. I hope we use that money pretty soon for some, paying down of our debt, because we're way out of balance as far as how much money we owe. We spend it right now like Brewster's Millions, if you ask me. I'm hoping we're starting to look next month with finance and start to see that, we need to restructure some money and maybe pay some of our debt down and get a little bit of debt free, and maybe hang up on the wish list a little bit. We should have our own money to pay for our capital improvements in our budget. That's how I feel. If we can't afford something, we need to cut back.
Mr. Brunel, do you have anything to add? So we have, Mr. President. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving to food service, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. Request approval of the following additions to the cafeteria substitute list for the 2020-2021 school year. Holly Nagel, Brenda Snyder, and I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval to accept the voluntary donation of $500 for the food service department from Gregory Beaver. I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have. Mr. Mantel, you have anything? Mr. Horstman? Mrs. Basinger? That's all we have, Mr. Wright. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel and reviewing liaison, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item A, Human Resources, request approval to change the Human Resources Secretary position to title to Human Resource Benefit Coordinator and to post the position. I so move.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Item B, professional substitutes, request approval of the additions to the professional substitute list for 2020 and 2021 school year. Lorraine Savage, RN, Amanda Hill-Vital, emergency sub. And I so move.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item C, support professional substitutes. Request approval of the additions to the support professional substitute list for the 2021 school year. Joanne Hughes, Tammy Keller, Andy Long, Catherine Martucci, William Price, Brittany Steelwagon, Lauren Taxacre, Katie Wiltrout, Lorraine Savage, aide and LPN, and and Stacy Rubo addition. I so move.
This motion is second. We have one addition, if anybody has any questions about that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item D, unpaid leave, request approval for Tamika Cornish, aide to the intermittent unpaid days as needed for the remainder of the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Unpaid leave, this would be E, request approval for Bobby Hollis, aide to take intermittent unpaid days as needed for the remainder of the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item F, unpaid leave, request approval for Christy Myers, aide to take intermittent unpaid days as needed for the remainder of the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item G, unpaid leave, request approval for Crystal Pedro, aide to take intermittent unpaid days as needed for the remainder of the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item H, unpaid leave, request approval for Christy Myers, aide to take an unpaid leave of absence from May 3rd through May 11th, 2021, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item I, unpaid leave, request approval for Karen Basinger, cafeteria employee, to take an unpaid leave of absence for the remainder of the 2021 school year, and I so move.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item J, retirement, request approval of the retirement of Leanne Bell, teacher, effective June 10th, 2021, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item K, retirement, request approval of retirement of Lori Scheller, teacher, effective June 30th, 2021, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item L, retirement, request approval to accept the retirement of Kenneth House, teacher, effective June 30th, 2021. I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item M, retirement, request approval to accept the retirement of Catherine Gonaldo, teacher, effective June 30th, 2021.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Before I go on, Mr. O'Malley, I'd like to have the secretary submit a letter to all the retirement individuals and thank them for their years of service and enjoy their retirement. Confidential employees policy. Request approval of the confidential employees policy that addresses salary and benefits effective July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2024 as attached. The policy represents salary increases consistent with the CAE-SPA negotiated salaries increase of 2.35%. I so move.
Motion second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And letter O, Act 93, consider a motion to approve the Act 93 salary and benefit agreement effective July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023 as per attachment. I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last item is our March 19th meeting. That's all I have, Mr. Madden.
Moving to policy legislative, Mr. Marshall.
Oh, no, Mr. Rinaldi, do you have anything? I'm sorry. Mr. Rinaldi, do you have anything additional? Yes. Mr. Montiel, do you have anything? Mr. Bradley?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
Thank you. Mr. Marshall, please.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. I have nothing, more to you. Mr. Ronaldo.
Thank you.
Mr. Bradley.
Yes, Mr. Harshman, I just wanted to announce that through the legislative branch and the Department of Labor and Industry and Governor Wolf, we became aware of a new school to work program with $2.6 million available in grant money. And I know that with Dr. Little, that we will be looking into our eligibility for that grant and our eligibility for that grant at both the CTC and at the high school if applicable. And I thank our legislators and senators and members of the House of Representatives for pushing that through with the Department of Labor and Industry and Governor Wolf. Thank you.
And that's all we have.
Thank you. Moving safety and security, Mr. Martre.
I only have one thing. Mr. Stash was here last month and talked about a problem out of West Crawford parking. And Mr. Mongell, Mr. Maddock, and myself went out and looked at it. And I'm going to give that to Mr. Evans and Mr. Parlak. They're going to go check that out tomorrow and see if we can be of any help in that situation. And that's all we have. Mr. Saxon, do you have anything additional? Mr. Martucci? Mr. Parlak, anything additional? That's all we have.
Thank you. Moving to special education.
Mr. Maddox. Request for Chestnut Bridge Counseling Services to provide classroom clinical support specialists for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year, a total cost of $15,000, and I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval from Susan Urhazy, substitute teacher, to complete a 40-hour field practicum in the life skills classroom at the middle school for her field practicum course through Duquesne University School of Education, and I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval for a letter of agreement with the Meadow University Community Behavioral Health Company for the 2021-2022 and 2022-2023 school years. This will be on the basis of $67 per day, and I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval for agreement between the Intermediate Unit 1 and the Collins Area School District for partial hospitalization services at a rate of $121.61 per day for education and $103.50 per day for mental health based on 8 student enrollment, and I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Abstain. One abstention.
Request approval for the agreement between the Collins Area School District, Chestnut Ridge Counseling Services Incorporated, professional services at a cost of $7,500 per month from April 12th through June 11th, 2021, and I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The committee meeting was held on April 15th at 5 o'clock. Our next meeting will be on March 18th, and it was at 5 o'clock. Mr. Lee, anything further? Mr. Martucci, anything? Mr. D'Amico? That's all we have, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to student services, please, Mrs. Sankton.
New student club, request approval of a Leo club at the senior high school beginning 2021-2022 school year. I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Musical staff, this was tabled at our previous meeting. Request approval of the following 2021 Collins High School musical production staff for 4 performances. Conditions upon obtaining necessary performance licensing and to authorize such persons to serve in an uncompensated volunteer capacity until such necessary performance licensing is obtained on the ability to hold, proceed, and conduct extracurricular activities under state law. Such agreement and appointments to be subject to earlier termination based on subsequent state orders. Stipend shall be prorated based on work performed. For professional orchestra musicians, Marsha Brady for $625, Harry Gephardt $625, Dane Schultz $625, John Harris $625, Lauren Stoner $625, Amy Davis $625. Yes, sir.
Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval of the student teaching assignment with St. Vincent College for the fall of 2021 semester. I so move.
Motion is second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval to participate in the Washington Educational System Teen Outreach Parenting Program funded by the ELAC, which is the Education Leading to Employment and Career Training Grant as needed. So moved.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval to rent lighting for the 2021 senior high school musical from J&C Lighting and Sound Entertainment LLC at a cost of $5,900 as budgeted. So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval for the CASE K through 12 guidance plan for the 2021 school year as proposed. So moved.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Travel. Jonathan Community band teacher chaperone, Lori Firestone, Glenda Grow, Lori Rodman, Jennifer Whitby, Haley Daly, Courtney Wiltrout, Jackie Eckenrod, Dave Schultz, and approximately 90 students are participating in the Concert Memorial Day Parade the 31st, 2021 at no cost to the district. Also, the Conroe High School Band Boosters will be holding their annual banquet at Hershey Park, May 22nd, 2021 at no cost to the district. I so moved.
Just a point of order, perhaps those should be divided into two separate votes. I'm asking, I guess, for a point of order from Mr. Witt, should those be divided into two separate votes? Or are you guys okay with voting on those together?
I'm okay with it.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
School calendar. Request approval to amend the 2021 school calendar. Kennywood picnic moved to Sunday, June 13th, 2021, because the park is closed on Monday. I so moved.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval of Armstrong musical sponsorship in the amount of $3,500 and additional Armstrong programming and advertising, estimated value about $9,000, in support of Footloose and the Conroe High School Music Club. I so moved.
Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval to accept the donations of supplies from the state as a Union Town for elementary building. I so moved.
Motion second. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
We had a committee meeting at the South on March 18th at 6. We're going to have a committee meeting on April 15th. In addition to request approval to purchase clay targets for the clay target team at an approximate cost of $2,250, pending solicitor review.
Motion second. This was a new item that was not on Monday night. Anybody have any questions, including the audience? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Another addition. Request approval of the agreement between the Conroe Area School District and Cornerstone Care Inc. for preventative dental services via the Cornerstone Care Community Mobile Health Center. So,
Motion and second. Once again, item was not on Monday night. Anybody have any questions, including the audience? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Montiel, do you have anything? Mr. Lake? Mr. D'Amico? Oh, we have Mr.
Thank you. Moving to technology, please.
Request approval of the following additions to the technology substitute list for the 2020-2021 school year. Cody Vance, Caleb Wingrove, Michael Bauer, and I so moved.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Harshman, you have anything else? Martran? Mr. Goes? That's all we have, thank you.
Thank you. Transportation, please, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. I'm going to use this time for my little speech like I did last time. The problem being is, I had several phone calls. I don't know if it was concerns or just wishful thinking, because when I made my speech, I said, I'm not going to be running this time. Well, the reason I'm not running this time is I'm not up this time. I'm not up for 2 more years. So for those who got their hopes up, you have to wait 2 years, and for those who are concerned, I'll be running in 2 years probably. I'm still here. My other concerns is I want to thank again for all the volunteers that they did for the shots and vaccines that they give to our high school volunteers. And I just wanted to mention one thing. We had one volunteer that put her time in, just like all the rest of the volunteers. Just so happens she's a retired nurse for Excel. I don't want to mention no names. Her son's very ill now. He's on the vent. Any thoughts, any prayers you can give him, I greatly appreciate it. She spent her time up here at vaccine people. Now she has a young son going through trouble. So please remember her in your thoughts. Mr. Panzelli, anything on transportation? Mr. Marshall? Mr. Evans? That's all we have, Mr. O'Malley. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to President's report. Request for approval to appoint Vicki McWilliams as Secretary of the Board of Education for a 4-year term at an annual supplemental salary of $4,500. Currently, it's $4,000. For the years 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, and 24, 25 school years, effective July 1st of 2021. And I so move. Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Bear with me on this one. Request for approval to approve an amendment to the superintendent's contract to extend the term of the contract for an additional period of 1 year, such the term of the contract would extend to September 4th of 2022 to implement a salary freeze for such additional period of 1 year in lieu of an increase in section 4A2, and to reduce the notice requirement in section 9 to 90 days to mirror the public school code. Such action to be conditioned on the superintendent's acceptance of such amendments within 5 days hereof, and in the event the superintendent fails to accept such amendment, then instead of approving such amendment, to approve and provide issuance of required notice under section 9 of the current contract and section 1073B of the public school code, that other candidates will be considered to the office and be approved the expiration of the contract under the terms of the current contract and such amendment being void. And I so move. We have a motion and a second. This was not on Monday night's agenda. Do we have any questions from the board or the public? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Roll call. Yes. And that's all I have under the President's report. We have a couple of items or a couple of speakers for items. Is Amanda here? Oh, there you are.
Thank you. I was just coming to speak about the school survey that we received about the distant learning, kind of opting it out. So I'm just going to read you the email that I sent to everybody and kind of adapt it a little bit. So our students already completed over half a year of the school. My daughter is in second grade and she's now an elementary student and she's adapted well. She's doing the distant learning. She's done it all year. She has not had any problems. I personally am not comfortable to send her back yet, but I don't want to do the FOLA model with her because I do not want her to have her curriculum change. She's actually in a routine. I don't feel that it's fair for these students that are in the routine and have been doing this whole year to be changed because of maybe the latter that have not been compliant like they should be. I really can't see how a 5-day model would be any different than the 4-day model that they're currently doing. And I personally, myself, I work in healthcare, and even though we're seeing the cases aren't increasing dramatically, they have not decreased. They've actually plateaued currently. And I'm worried with the Easter holiday and spring breaks, are we going to see another outbreak? Are we going to see counts go up? And my concern is if we see outbreaks, here we're sending these children back to school that have already adapted to an online model, and then they're going to have to go back. So we're flip-flopping these students. I understand the importance of needing to interact with your peers, and as such, I do fully intend to send her in the fall, considering that this pandemic hopefully is under control and maintained with vaccinations and the other things that have been implemented. And I just hope that currently for the rest of the school year, we can continue with the distant learning with these students in the hybrid model. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Carrie here?
I also am here this evening to speak on the survey that was sent out. In regard to the survey that was sent out recently by the district, I will be honest that I did not complete the survey because it certainly did not provide reasonable options for students. Please know that these survey results will be skewed, and it is certainly not reliable data to make decisions based upon. Many parents felt as if they had to choose one of the 2 options that were provided while wanting no changes to occur because it is so late in the school year. Here are just a few reasons why no changes should occur at this time. At the beginning of the school year, families were guided to choose the distance learning option if they felt that they may, at some point, choose to send their child back to the in-building option. The reasoning behind this was that students could transition easier from distance learning to in-building because FOLA uses a different curriculum. Also, not all classes offered by the district are offered by FOLA. How do you plan to address this if distance learning is no longer offered to students, but if they do wish to continue the year at home? How will these students earn grades and credits for graduation? Vaccinations are becoming easier to obtain, however, not everyone who wishes to get a vaccine has been able to do so yet. It is obvious from the many emails that we've received throughout the school year that many individuals within the district have tested positive. 15 students were sent home yesterday from one of our elementary schools due to COVID. I'm going to propose changes. If a child has to quarantine, they will receive only worksheets to complete on their own without any instruction. How is that better than getting Google Meets? Research shows that it takes up to 21 days for people to learn and follow routines. So sending kids back for 45 days makes no sense. Some of these kids will take up to half of that time to adjust. How do you think that will affect their grades and their learning? Think about the students who have special needs, IEPs and 504 plans. These students already struggle with learning on some level, and now are forced to have yet another change forced upon them. Completely eliminating distance learning at this point in the school year will affect everyone, both students who are being forced to switch and those students who are already within the classroom. They will all have to adjust yet again. Teachers and school staff will again be forced to make changes in the way they are teaching. They will have to manage a mixture of students who have attended in-person learning and those who may very well be having their first day of school for the year. These teachers districts will spend way too much time on reviewing rules, routines, COVID protocol, etc., and that will take away from their instruction being provided to students. Bus drivers are continuing to test positive. There are not enough fill-in drivers to complete all the runs, so how will that work? Did the district suddenly manage to get enough substitutes to cover when the teachers are out? Why would I send my 4 kids to school when they will sit in the auditorium or the cafeteria when they don't have a teacher or a substitute? This is not conducive to learning, nor does it make sense in regard to social distancing. Mr. Bradley believes this change will help distance learners who are not completing their work. But did anyone stop to think about those students, like mine, who are completing their work and are doing well? It seems as though we are again catering to those who continue to choose not to follow the rules in regard to attendance or doing assignments. Why punish the whole instead of seeking out those families and implementing changes where needed on an individual level? Principals and many teachers do not support eliminating distance learning option for this school year. Why are we not listening to those who have direct contact with the students, those who are on the front lines? I know that many of my concerns were already voiced within the COVID committee, and I hope this does not fall upon deaf ears. Please consider all students when making your decision to keep the above mentioned concerns in mind. Your decision is affecting all of the students of the district, as well as the health and the well-being of those in the community. Please vote for what is in the best interest of all students, not just a small group. Remember, the survey data is skewed, and therefore, distance learning should continue to be offered for the rest of this school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Maddox, do you have any more?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any more?
No, that's all.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, somebody needs to address it. We're trying to work on a plan. Personally, I'm for bringing the children back 5 days a week. I think they need to be in a brick and mortar situation, but I think the administrator and the majority of the boards, they have come up with a conclusion that's probably helpful to you people that just spoke and maybe good for everybody. So hopefully they'll come up with a plan. I think Mr. Bradley's working on it, and the majority of the board's working on it also.
I speak in general terms, thank everyone for their comments, and I thank everybody for, the emails that were sent. To go into status quo, which there was obviously nothing on the board agenda, or those comments would have been for agenda items, so there was nothing on the agenda, and our push, our drive, our desire is, again, to capture, and I think and some of our speakers touched on that, our drive and our to capture the students that are in fear of retention or failure of courses in a specific course at the secondary level. We're pleading for those students to be 4 days in person. The feedback that I receive from teachers, and very veteran teachers, we've heard many in public comment, is that the students that are coming 1 day or 2 day, are not being successful, and they're staying home and not being successful. So those are really the target, and we hope to provide enough emphasis and drive, and rather than being punitive, we want those students to be in attendance face-to-face, because we know our teachers will be successful with those students when they're face-to-face. So thank you.
And I'd like to piggyback off what Mr. Lake had to say. I'm also in favor of bringing our students back 5 days a week face-to-face.
Mr. Maddox, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So that everybody's really clear out there, here present, in person as the board, I guess we use since the pandemic, and those who are virtual, if they can hear us and see us. So that you're very clear on what's happening. There has been no vote taken by this board to change the current delivery system. At this point, right now, we're going to modify, I believe, Mr. Lakewood mentioned, the administration and some of the board members are going to be working to modify the 4-day in-person suggested requests for them to come back. But there will be a 5-day follow-up as is now, and there will be a 5-day virtual Google that our teachers have been successfully doing for quite a while, and that will not be taken away from our students or our parents. Thank you very much for all the emails that we've received. We have heard you. We support you. And these are not easy decisions that any of us have to make on a lot of issues. But right now, we are not changing the delivery model in Connellsbury School District.
I don't want to repeat everything that Mr. Ronaldo said, but we've been through a lot this past year, this COVID. And our students, our staff, all of our employees have really stepped up to the plate and done a good job. I think what both of these ladies just said here a minute ago, we have to have some consistency in what we're doing. And I believe we have to have accountability and stability and everything. And I think that's what we have to do is just stay on task, stay on course where we're at right now, and then reassess this thing after the summer's up and see what we have in the fall when we get back. I think that this is our best course right now, to stay on task where we're at.
Okay, any further comments? Okay, moving to the assistant to the superintendent comments. Mr. Cornell, you have anything to add tonight? See, Mrs. Coons, there you are. Nothing to add. Superintendent Bradley.
I want to thank Mr. Evans for organizing the recognition of our wrestling and girls soccer programs for the section champ. And again, to recognize those two programs that made attendance on Monday's meeting. It was really refreshing to be able to celebrate something successful and to celebrate something good about education, something valuable going on here at the Connellsbury School District, rather than some of the sea of negativity that we have with COVID and with some of all the things that our students are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It really was refreshing to see that. And in that same vein, I wanted to congratulate the CAMS musical for their successful production recently. A third honoree that I think is worth mentioning is that our very own Connellsbury High School sophomore Alex Huffman qualified and made state chorus, which is quite a feat, and it was really morphed this year with the qualifying rounds being through virtual means. So we wish him the best of luck on his endeavors. And again, it's really nice to celebrate successes and try to handle all the negativity that we deal with on a daily basis and that our students are bombarded with on a daily basis. Also, speaking of vaccinations, we, to this day, our employees, all employees have been offered, 100% of our employees, whether you're a contracted employee, full-time employee, part-time employee, 100% of our employees have been offered vaccinations. And to that extent, I couldn't do it any better than what the Herald Standard said today, that I personally am grateful for the flexibility and patience that all of our employees have displayed while we sought those vaccination opportunities for them. It was a challenge at times to make sure we were hooking up the right eligibility category with the right vaccinations, and our employees were getting email after email, sign up here, sign up there, and to their credit, all of our employees responded very professionally and positively with the opportunity to be vaccinated. Lastly, I know that Dawn Basinger has worked very hard with her crew in food service, and I encourage all of our families and our food service is really putting together nice Easter bundles that will be available to our students, and Dawn and her crew will have more information available on our website. We've done similar efforts in the past where we bundle meals together, and we're looking for great participation from our students that provides a quality meal for our students in those times when they're away from our buildings. So thank you, and I look forward to high participation in that Easter bundles, and I look forward to serving Connellsbury School District. Thank you.
Before we close, I want to remind all the board members, we need to give our superintendents some goals for the upcoming school year. I ask you to email your goals to Mr. Bradley, and we will pick a day sometime this coming month of April, and we will sit down with him and go over those goals and condense what we can. Some of us may have the same goals, but we need to do that. So please email your goals to Mr. Bradley that you want him to work on for the upcoming school year, and we will sit down with Mr. Bradley as we do that as a full board solicitor. Okay. We'll be able to sit down as a full board and go over those each and individual goals that we would like him to work on. With that, we'll have a motion to adjourn. Thank you.